before, other than to the Regional Planning Committee and the Māori Committee prior to this, but the Regional Planning Committee, beg your pardon, not the Māori Committee. But that came about as a result of a comment about trying to be helpful to the Commission, trying to provide suggestions and options for them rather than perhaps just be whiny. And so that was really the result of that. Now, I accept that there's not a lot of detail around that, and I would expect that the Local Government Commission, if they're genuinely interested in finding out more about it, would ask us some questions around that, and we could work up some detail. But it really is just it's one way of recognising the absence of really any recognition in the draft proposal around natural resource management functions.
We have a regional planning committee that's going forward. So, I mean, how many sub-entities here do we need to be dealing exclusively with environment and natural resource issues?
Well, at the moment we have one council to deal with that, but I guess the issue really was that the Regional Planning Committee sure deals with it under the Resource Management Act framework, but the point of potentially having a Natural Resources Board elected is really to address some of the concerns that came out of the Winder report around people in the rural areas fearing a loss of voice if there was a unitary, certainly if the regional council disappeared. So how could that be addressed? And given the proposed representation in the draft proposal, that's I guess even more underlined. And secondly, to look at, it aligns with another recommendation which is around, if you like, ring fencing the non-ratepayer income for resource management investigations and other things, and would be to manage that particular part of any budget. So it would be part of a package.
The ring fencing came up before, and people would have had a chance to object to that if they didn't like it. I actually thought it was a decent idea. I didn't object to it, but that got a little bit of ventilation at least. This elected board, it just seems like it's a desperate toss of the wall here to see what sticks, and there's no case for it whatsoever.
Did we instruct the staff to try and find some positive and suggestions?
Yes.
This was put to, and an explanation around that was given to all of us at the RPC?
Around the board?
Yes.
There was some discussion about it at the time.
I think if I recall from last week that the discussion was around that the detail of how it would be elected remained a matter that needed more detail. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Come back to Councillor Dick's commentary on standalone. Anyone got any views on that, Councillor Hewitt?
Yes, I support that proposal hugely. We all, as individuals, took an oath to be protecting the functions of the Regional Council, and I think that the synergies with the Regional Council are far more intergenerational than the territorial authority. So I absolutely support the standalone Regional Council aspect being further explored.
So on that basis, where would you word it? Where would you, assuming we were going to go with that, where would it fit into this? What someone's thinking of that? Any other views? Councillor Graham, you got a view on that?
I don't support it.
For reasons?
I think everyone's aware of my views. I'm a strong supporter of a unified Hawke's Bay under one council, doing all the functions that the current councils do. And I think that it's a farce really to suggest that a new council wouldn't pick up all these functions that we do currently extremely well, I must say.
Yes, the point.
I suppose history will tell whether that's the case, and I suppose we have to look at other unitary authorities to have a look at their record to see how it stacks up to the record of the Hawke's Bay Regional Council and what we do in that particular area. I support what Councillor Dick is saying. I think that maybe we need to be a little bit stronger and make a statement there that the Regional Council does remain as a body here to look after the and enhance the environmental aspects of this area. So, I'd support that going into the submission.
I missed actually. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I've been trying to observe some neutrality about the position, but of course it's arisen by the fact that we don't support, which we don't, the draft proposal as it is. And I'm certainly not going to go the other way and suggest that, oh yes, everything will be hunky-dory if we tweak here or there. I have looked at the performance of Unitaries, and I've looked at the performance of Auckland, which has more dairy farms than we have, and they are not delivering on their environmental outcomes. And this is a region where our wealth exists in our environment, and I cannot see this being protected going forth. In fact, if amalgamation occurs, in fact Auckland, they've already got a request for de-amalgamation. If amalgamation occurs, I reckon within 10 years there'll be a total de-amalgamation again, because I don't think that we will perform as well on that. So if you want to strengthen this and say I prefer an independent regional council, I would have to say that would be the side that I come down on. I'm quite happy not to put it in the terms of trying to get some unity around the council, but I'm certainly not prepared to go the other way.
No, I'm not in favour. It looks terribly like self-preservation to me. I don't believe for a moment that the Local Government Commission would consider it. They've put their proposal on the table. We need to address that proposal, and by putting an alternative on the table would be a waste of time in my view.
The interesting thing for me, do you want to have another view on it?
Yeah, that was a point of my seeking to suspend the standing orders, which you graciously agreed that you would allow some flexibility on the matter. So let me say clearly,
as long as I'm allowed to talk at some stage.
That's right. I am certainly opposed to what Councillor Dick has proposed, and I just find it incredibly disingenuous for some of these councillors. If there's anybody on this council who gets tagged as green, it's probably me. Would that be fair to say, councillors?
No,
I mean, no? Oh, I'm not. Okay.
I had my
And the argument that has been surfaced lately that this council has been the bastion of defense of the Hawke's Bay environment strikes a lot of people I associate with as ludicrous. Ludicrous. I didn't get elected because the perception was this regional council is a protector of the environment. I can assure you that. And so to mount an argument that this institution has some, delivered by God mandate that cannot be otherwise met by a different structure, by a unitary authority, there's just no case for it. If there were a rally out here at the doorstep because of this debate and the public felt that we were about to hand away custody and stewardship of the environment because the regional council was going to disappear, I might feel differently about it. But to the contrary, that demand is not out there.
Councillor Belford spoke about 10 times so far. Councillor Belford's attitude is predictable and understandable. And as a member of Better Hawke's Bay, who's produced the genesis and, in fact, the detail of what the Local Government Commission has accepted as a draft reorganisation proposal. However, let's just reflect on the Local Government Commission's task. It's come to town. 3 carpetbaggers have ridden into town, have undertaken an exercise which, in terms of research, consideration, consultation, to date anyway, has been absolutely minuscule alongside, for example, the process that's being used to determine whether the game-changing project for Hawke's Bay, like the Ruataniwha scheme, is being subjected to, with Board of Inquiry, reports on this, peer reports on that. There is no comparison, and really the Local Government Commission's efforts so far have been once over lightly. Now, they put out a draft reorganisation proposal. They are asking for submissions on that, and there are going to be a multitude of submissions, and every organisation that has an interest in the region will submit. And clearly it's our responsibility to do so, not to just to rubber stamp something that's there. And I actually find it quite insulting for it to be considered that the Hawke's Bay Regional Council has not done its job as an environmental guardian. It hasn't done everything perfectly, but it has done most things particularly well. And we need to look at the environment that's surrounding this thing. Go back in history, 1989, regional councils were formed to coincide with the introduction of the RMA, out of the very strongly held belief that there needed to be an entity that undertook specific responsibility for the environment, for natural resource management, and that it had a guardian and referee role in relation to the activities of territorial councils who are predominantly concerned with the built environment, have a relatively long short-term focus, whereas this council has a long-term one. So there was real justification for their existence. There was only one unitary council established at that time. That was Gisborne District, and that was for the simple reason that it was not an affluent area, and geographically and financially it didn't have the capability to deal with separation. In the meantime, there have been some silly unitaries created at the top of the North Island. That was South Island. That was totally politically driven. And then you have the Auckland situation where a Royal Commission was established, worked diligently for years, and then the Minister of Local Government at the time, in fact, refused to read the report and openly stated that that was his position, and imposed a solution which, in fact, is not working. The lowest growth rate in the country at the moment is Auckland. There's a proposal to disestablish Rodney, and so there is an attitude about regional councils that colours the Better Hawke's Bay proposal, which has translated itself into this draft reorganisation scheme. And surrounding that is the fact that governments, and in particular this government, is not sympathetic towards, well, local government generally, but in particular regional councils. And the territorials have never particularly liked the regional councils, because the regional councils have exercised a referee role and from time to time have had to say to them, no, sorry, you can't do that. That's not the right thing to do. And as well as that, they have envied the wealth that this council is the custodian of for the benefit of the environment. So I just don't believe that we should accept things at face value and address this matter lightly. We address it seriously. The allegations of self-interest are just nonsensical. As nonsensical as people being elected onto a body with the primary intent of dismantling it. So I stand by my recommendation that this council asserts that it should remain as a separate entity, and that is the essence of its submission to the Commission. At the end of the day, democracy will decide.